For a long time, I believed that successful people were fundamentally different to the rest of us. More confident, more talented, more decisive. I assumed that they had something that I didn't. This belief is incredibly common, and it's also incredibly destructive, because once you believe that successful people are special, you stop analyzing what they actually do. You turn success into a personality trait instead of a process. And that's exactly what keeps most people stuck. I stopped believing that successful people are special when I realized something uncomfortable. Most of them aren't extraordinary at all. They're just operating under different rules. The idea that successful people are special is comforting. It explains why you're not where you want to be in life without forcing you to have to change anything. If successful people really are built differently after all, then your position isn't a consequence of your own actions and your own decisions. It's simply a consequence of destiny. And that's why this belief is fundamentally a trap. And when you spend time around people who are actually doing really well for themselves, you realize that it's bullshit. And that story, that whole belief system collapses very quickly. You see, what I've noticed is that successful people are not calmer, they're not braver, and they're definitely not more certain. And in fact, in many cases, they're messier, more chaotic, more anxious, and more unsure than everybody else. The fundamental difference is behavior under uncertainty. And to understand this further, I think we need to consider what success actually is at the heart. Success isn't something that happens overnight. It's not a single leap. It's the result of a handful of boring, repetitive actions which are applied consistently over time. Most people didn't discover a secret. They didn't find their calling or their purpose or their meaning in life. And they didn't sit around waiting for clarity. They moved. They took action when things were unclear, when they didn't know what to do, when they didn't know if it would work, when it didn't feel like the right time. They made decisions early with incomplete information, and they tolerated discomfort and being wrong in public. That's it. To be honest, once you remove the mythology from it, success looks almost disappointingly mechanical. And that's precisely why it's attainable. And it is true that success always looks magical from the outside. It always looks like it happens out of nowhere. But that's because people only see the outcome. They never see the struggle, the years in the dark or in the trenches before that moment came. What they don't see is the false starts, the wasted effort, the awkward early attempts, the trial and error, all the shit that didn't work for that person. By the time you're seeing someone who's successful, they've already had their sunrise moment. They've surfaced to the world, the algorithms picked them up, they're already known in whatever it is that they're doing. So what you end up seeing is the polished end state of success when it's already occurred, and you just assume that it was inevitable. But inevitability is a retrospective illusion, because most success stories only make sense after the fact. From the inside, for the person who became successful, they feel uncertain the entire journey. And if there's a real differentiator between the people who succeed and the people who don't, it's this. Successful people have a much higher tolerance for discomfort without any immediate reward. They're willing to look stupid temporarily, be bad at something publicly, sit in uncertainty for much longer, and act without reassurance or feedback. Most people aren't failing because they lack intelligence or ability. They're failing because they demand emotional safety before taking action, and that's fundamentally not how the world works. And the world doesn't reward that. And the harsh truth is that most people never start. They never take action in the first place. Because believing that people are successful creates this psychological dead end. You tell yourself, I'm not that kind of person. I don't have the confidence. I'm not wired for this. So you wait for motivation, for certainty, for permission, for things that never come. And waiting quietly becomes your strategy. The irony is that confidence is not a prerequisite for action. Confidence is the result of acting and surviving the outcome. And another uncomfortable truth to add to that is that most success is not actually the result of brilliance. It's the result of endurance. The ability to keep going day after day, long after the novelty has worn off, after the validation disappears, after the initial excitement dies, when there's nobody rooting for you. Very few people quit because something is impossible, because a problem can't be solved. They quit because it's boring, uncomfortable, or socially inconvenient to continue. And endurance doesn't look impressive, but it compounds brutally. As long as you believe that successful people are special, you'll treat your own hesitation as evidence. Evidence that you're not ready. Evidence that you're not capable. evidence that you should wait until the right moment in the future. But once you drop that belief, everything reframes. Your fear stops being a signal to stop, and it becomes a signal that you're doing something unfamiliar, that you've left your comfort zone behind and you're actually in the growth zone. Your uncertainty stops being a flaw, and it starts to become part of the process. And I suppose the key takeaway is this: successful people are not special. They're not fearless, they're not superhuman, and they're not uniquely gifted. They just start earlier than they feel ready, stay much longer than is comfortable, and they don't interpret the difficulty as a verdict on their identity. That's literally the whole game. And once you understand that, success stops looking magical, and it starts to look inevitable for anybody that's actually willing to endure the process. So I stopped believing that successful people were special when I realized that the belief itself was actually a barrier. It was never about talent, confidence, or being different or special. It was about behavior under uncertainty repeated long enough in order to see compounding. And there's nothing special about that. That's just how reality works. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. I drop one like this every 48 hours, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks.